The collective advantage, how success ripples beyond the individual. Welcome to a conversation that will challenge everything you thought you knew about success. I'm LeAnne Dolce, pronounced Dolce, like sweet softness whispered in French. Today, I had the extraordinary privilege of interviewing Javonne Carl, a visionary who is revolutionizing how we think about entrepreneurship, particularly for Black women. Javonne isn't just breaking barriers, she's building bridges and creating entirely new pathways for collective success. Her insights challenge the very foundation of how we define achievement in business and life. Javonne Carl stands at the intersection of innovation and community, where her work has transformed countless lives by reimagining success not as a zero sum game, but as an expansive opportunity for shared prosperity. Her revolutionary approach has created ripple effects that extend far beyond individual businesses to reshape entire economic ecosystems. We've been taught that success is a ladder, a singular vertical climb that we must ascend alone, rung by rung, competing with others who want the same limited spots at the top. This narrative is so deeply embedded in our culture that we rarely question it. We celebrate the self made entrepreneur, the lone genius, the individual who made it against all odds. But what if this entire framework is fundamentally flawed? What if success isn't a ladder at all, but a web, a network of connections where your rise lifts others and their elevation pulls you higher in return? This is the counterintuitive truth that emerged from my conversation with Javonne Carl. While we've been conditioned to believe that individual achievement is the ultimate goal, the data tells a completely different story, one where collective advancement creates more sustainable, meaningful, and ironically, more personally rewarding success. Let me share something surprising. Black women owned businesses are currently driving unprecedented growth, outpacing all other demographics in new business creation and revenue increases. The standard narrative would have us focus solely on these individual achievements. Look at these exceptional women beating the odds. But what's rarely discussed, yet infinitely more powerful, is how these founders are intentionally building collective ecosystems, networks of mentorship, capital access, and opportunity that don't just lift one entrepreneur, but create pathways for entire communities to succeed. This shift from individual hustle to collective acceleration fundamentally challenges our traditional view of entrepreneurship as a solo journey. Consider what happened at the 2025 WBNC conference in New Orleans. A network of Black female founders led panels specifically focused on ecosystem building for collective advancement. These weren't discussions about individual success strategies, they were blueprints for systemic change. These entrepreneurs faced persistent funding gaps, limited access to established networks, and significant underrepresentation in leadership roles. But rather than competing for the few resources available, they formed strategic alliances, launched mentorship circles, and collaborated with financial institutions to advocate for more equitable lending practices. The results? Revenue among Black women owned businesses increased by 32.7%, comma, and more efficient capital access models were piloted nationally. Many of these founders had previously struggled alone before discovering the power of collaboration at events like BINC. They created formal mentorship programs and pilot projects connecting startups directly with investors who understand their cultural context. Most importantly, these initiatives inspired similar movements nationwide, demonstrating scalable models for ecosystem driven entrepreneurship among underrepresented groups. This is a profound shift in thinking. Instead of asking, how can I succeed despite the barriers? These entrepreneurs are asking, how can we redesign the system so that success becomes more accessible to everyone? Now, you might be thinking, that sounds noble, but is it practical? Does this collective approach actually work in the competitive global marketplace? The evidence suggests it does, powerfully so. Let's look at Gray's Upgrade Her initiative, which in 2025 awarded $9,500 grants to four women led startups, including several from Nigeria. With almost 2,000 applications globally, this program targeted financial inclusion beyond traditional banking services. These women entrepreneurs faced significant barriers accessing early stage capital across borders and lacked resources and support infrastructure, especially outside Western markets. The solution wasn't just providing equity free grants, but creating bespoke support, including cross border banking solutions tailored specifically for female founders' needs. The winners didn't just succeed individually, they scaled operations internationally and paved the way for future cohorts by proving viability outside traditional venture capital hubs like Silicon Valley, London, and New York City. Most came from backgrounds where venture funding was previously inaccessible due to geography and gender bias. They expanded into new international markets and became role models within their home country's entrepreneurial ecosystems, inspiring further applications and founder led community initiatives. This approach broadened the very definition and accessibility of global entrepreneurship, showing what happens when intentional resources are allocated beyond familiar geographies and demographics. But here's where it gets even more interesting. This collective approach doesn't just help those who might otherwise be left behind, it creates better outcomes for everyone. A review by Fundera and NerdWallet found that female founded startups often outperform male led ones regarding return on investment, a trend increasingly visible among diverse teams led by Black women across tech and social impact sectors since the COVID era began. Despite being dramatically underrepresented among funded ventures, receiving less than 2.3% of venture capital investment, and facing persistent stereotypes about leadership capability and potential scalability, these entrepreneurs found innovative solutions. They leveraged social media and digital commerce tools while prioritizing gender and racial diversity within their founding and leadership ranks, which enhanced team performance and innovation capacity. The results? Higher average returns over time compared to non diverse, male dominated peers, and growing visibility that attracts next generation talent and investors seeking inclusive opportunities. Many of these businesses began as side hustles due to limited initial capital and access, but they used online platforms creatively during pandemic disruptions, which accelerated business model validation and growth cycles. They consistently outperformed industry averages despite smaller budgets and resources, gained national recognition and media coverage as exemplars and influencers shaping future norms and practices. Most significantly, they sparked a broader movement toward inclusive investing and hiring policies across corporate and startup spheres, demonstrating the tangible value proposition behind diversity efforts, not simply as a moral imperative, but as a clear business case. This is the profound insight Javonne Carl shared. Embracing diversity and collective advancement isn't charity, it's smart strategy yielding measurable results. Let's pause and really absorb what this means. Despite controlling $3.9 trillion in revenue and owning 35% of employer firms, Black women still face significant funding disparities, receiving lower loan approval rates, 45% versus 55%, compared to men, and higher denial rates, 25% versus 19%. But resilience for these entrepreneurs means not just overcoming these gaps, but innovating around them, creating new systems that work better for everyone. The most successful founders leverage both digital tools like social media and e commerce and global platforms while prioritizing diverse teams, because diversity isn't a buzzword, it's a proven driver of creativity, innovation, and return on investment. This collective approach aligns beautifully with what I call the soft girl era philosophy. It's about releasing the cape of the lone superhero entrepreneur and embracing the power of community. It's redefining strength not as solitary endurance, but as collaborative resilience. It's embracing softness, the vulnerability to ask for help, to share resources, to lift as you climb. It's healing in real time, acknowledging that the old systems weren't designed for everyone to succeed and creating new ones that are. It's protecting peace as a practice by building supportive networks that distribute the burden of innovation and progress. And it's finding purpose beyond pain, turning the challenges of entrepreneurship into opportunities for systemic change. This shift from individual to collective success isn't just better for business, it's better for our souls. The exhaustion many high achieving Black women feel comes partly from trying to succeed within systems that weren't built with us in mind, often without adequate support. The collective approach offers not just practical advantages, but emotional and spiritual sustenance as well. As Javonne Carl's insights reveal, Black women entrepreneurs aren't just breaking barriers individually, they're creating new systems and networks designed to amplify success for others in their communities. This isn't just about making room at the existing table, it's about building a bigger, more inclusive table where everyone can thrive. So I stand before you today with a challenge that may feel uncomfortable, but holds the potential to transform not just your life, but the lives of countless others. I challenge you to disrupt your own definition of success, to tear down the mental model that says achievement is measured by how high you climb alone. Instead, I invite you to reimagine success as the strength of the web you help create, to measure your impact not by individual accolades, but by how many others rise alongside you. To ask yourself not, how can I win, but how can we all win together? This isn't idealism, it's strategic brilliance. The data is clear. Collective approaches yield better results for everyone involved. When we pool resources, share knowledge, and create systems designed for mutual success, we don't dilute our individual potential, we multiply it. Tomorrow, I want you to look at your network differently. See it not as a collection of contacts, but as a living ecosystem with the potential to transform lives, including your own. Reach out to someone you can mentor, connect two people who should know each other, share a resource that could benefit a competitor. And when you face obstacles, as we all do, resist the urge to overcome them alone. Instead, ask, how can we solve this together? How can this challenge become an opportunity to build something better for everyone? The most revolutionary act in today's hyper individualistic world isn't standing apart, it's standing together. It isn't climbing higher, It's building wider. It isn't breaking through barriers alone, it's dismantling them so no one else has to face them. The future belongs to those who understand that true success ripples far beyond the individual. Will you be one of them? Remember, softness isn't weakness. It's the strength to build connections, to lift others as you rise, and to create success that transforms not just your life, but our collective future.